They said you'd never make it. Not once, not twice, they made it their favorite story. They laughed, whispered, and spoke your name like it was a punchline. Every doubt, every smirk, every fake smile carried the same message: you're not enough. But here's the part they never saw coming. You were listening, not to believe them, but to remember. You were collecting every insult like fuel. Every rejection became a reminder. Every closed door became a seed in the soil of your silence. They thought your quiet meant you were finished, but your silence was strategy. You were letting the noise die down so your impact could echo louder than any argument. And now look around. The same mouths that cursed your name are whispering it with caution. The same eyes that rolled at your dreams are watching every step you take like detectives in disbelief. Because somehow you made it. And you did it without asking for permission. They can't process it. They can't understand how the one they overlooked became the one they can't stop looking at. You were supposed to stay invisible. You were supposed to fade into the background. But you didn't. You walked through every storm, through every betrayal, through every night that broke you. And you turned your pain into power. That's what confuses them the most. They thought pain would destroy you. They never imagined pain could educate you. While they complained, you studied. While they mocked, you worked. While they built illusions, you built endurance. And now you've become something they don't understand. A person who didn't need validation to rise. A person who built in silence, healed in secret, and returned with purpose so loud the world had to notice. You didn't just make it, you changed the rules. You didn't follow their map, you built your own roads. You didn't climb their ladder, you burned it down and built your own tower. And from that height, your light now blinds the very people who said you'd never rise. Listen carefully, chosen one. They're not just watching you, they're studying you. They scroll through your pictures like investigators, asking how did they do it? What did we miss? Who helped them? But here's the truth, no one helped you. The fire did, the silence did, the tears did. You became your own rescue mission. And that's the kind of power that can't be replicated. Most people are addicted to being seen. They perform, they pretend, they build highlight reels for lives they don't even love. But you were busy doing the work nobody clapped for. You were learning to find joy in progress that no one noticed. That's why your glow hits different. It's not for show, it's survival. And now, the ones who used to talk down to you are the same ones trying to talk about you. Their group chats are your gallery. Your silence is their obsession. They can't help but stare, because watching you forces them to confront the truth. That maybe, just maybe, they gave up too soon on themselves. Here's the secret they can't decode. You stopped needing approval. You stopped asking for a seat at their table and built your own. You stopped fighting for recognition and started walking in alignment. And when you did that, everything shifted. The tables turned. The energy changed. And suddenly, they realized your peace is more powerful than their platform. They thought you fight them. You didn't, you outgrew them. You let time expose what ego tried to hide. And in that stillness, you found your crown. Understand this. They envy the calm in your eyes. They feel small in the presence of your silence. Because your quiet confidence exposes every fake version of themselves they tried to become. They tried to copy your glow, but they can't copy your grind. They tried to imitate your peace, but they don't know your process. They want your crown, but not your scars. They want your light, but not your fire. That's why their obsession has no cure. They can't understand how someone they once looked down on is now someone they look up to. They can't process how you kept your soul intact while they lost theirs chasing applause. But let's be real. You earned this. You bled for this. You stayed when others quit. You fought battles nobody saw, cried in rooms nobody entered, prayed prayers nobody heard, and now you're reaping the results they said you'd never see. You didn't become this version overnight. You became it through nights of breaking and rebuilding, through mornings of doubt and discipline, through seasons of loss and lessons. And that's why your victory feels so heavy, because it was born in the weight of everything they ran from. So when they stare, let them. When they gossip, smile. When they twist your story, stay silent. Because silence is your signature now, the sound of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. You've already proved it. By surviving what was meant to destroy you. By staying kind when the world went cruel. By rising without asking for applause. And that's why they'll never stop watching. Because deep down, your existence is their unanswered question. How did they do it? How are they still glowing after everything? And the answer will always be the same. Because you were chosen for this. Because you turned pain into purpose. Because you refused to quit. So let them talk. Let them scroll. Let them choke on curiosity. You owe no explanation. Your silence is enough. Your presence is proof. And your rise, that's their consequence. This isn't revenge. This is revelation. This isn't noise. This is prophecy unfolding. You are the blueprint they'll never understand. The miracle they can't explain. The storm they can't control. The lesson they can't skip. So keep walking, chosen one. Keep glowing, keep moving, keep building. Because the same story they laughed at in chapter 1 is the one they'll quote in awe by chapter 10. The same silence they called weakness has become your crown. And the same people who swore you'd never make it will have no choice but to admit. They see your smile, but not the nights you cried until your soul trembled. They see your glow, but not the shadows you had to walk through to earn it. They see your strength, but not the storms that nearly broke your spine. They see your wins, but not the war it took to survive the losses. They want your peace, but not your process. They want your confidence, but not your collapse. They want the light you carry, but not the fire that forged it. What they don't understand is that every calm breath you take today was paid for by nights when you were gasping for hope. Every scar you hide under your smile is a receipt that you chose growth over bitterness, wisdom over rage, forgiveness over revenge. That's why you stand out in a world addicted to pretending to be broken. That's why your enemies glare like you've committed a crime. Because you have. You're guilty of surviving what was designed to destroy you, and having the audacity to rise shining anyway. Your glow isn't luck, it's the side effect of pain properly digested. And every time they see you, it burns them. Because you're a walking reminder that they could have healed but chose hatred. They could have built but chose bitterness. They could have risen but chose resentment. You, chosen one, you are living proof that pain doesn't define destiny. Your response to pain does. So when they stare, don't shrink. Let them look. Let them choke on their confusion. Because the truth is simple. They let pain make them bitter. You let pain make you better. And that's why you'll always rise, while they stay stuck, replaying what broke them. Number 3, silence was never weakness. Silence is not the absence of progress. It's the furnace of transformation. The sacred space where power is forged. They mistook your quiet for defeat. They thought your distance meant decline. But you were never absent, you were under divine construction. Imagine a seed buried in soil. To the eye, it looks dead. Just dirt, just a stillness. But beneath the surface, roots are stretching, life is forming, destiny is preparing. That was you. While they performed for approval, you were doing unseen work in the dark. While they posted for validation, you were being processed for elevation. And now that you've broken through the ground, they stare like it happened overnight. But you know the truth. You spent years underground becoming unshakable. They mocked your silence because they couldn't hear the thunder being built inside you. Why does silence bother people so much? Because silence exposes their illusions. They think visibility equals value. They think noise equals power. They can't comprehend that you were becoming solid, not visible. You refused to be measured by updates. You refused to explain your process. And that's why they're scrambling now. Because you were the sculptor all along, chiseling in private what they could never build in public. You weren't hiding, you were aligning. And now that your season has arrived, the echo of your preparation is so loud that even your silence speaks in thunder. Number 4, you won because you endured. You didn't win through luck. You didn't cheat, you didn't charm, you didn't manipulate. You endured. Endurance isn't pretty. It's not something people post about. It's the dark, unseen graveyard where the weak give up and the strong learn to breathe again. You're standing today not because life was kind, but because you refused to collapse when it was. They didn't see the nights you broke down in silence. They didn't see the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed with an empty tank and a whispered prayer. They saw the shine, but not the scars. They saw the win, but not the war. You didn't survive because you were the smartest. You survived because you wouldn't stop moving. Even when crawling was all you could do, you still moved. You weren't the fastest runner. You weren't the loudest voice. But you finished the race because you refused to quit. That's why your presence shakes people. You are living proof that consistency outlasts talent. That resilience is louder than reputation. They call it luck because they can't stomach the truth. The truth is pain built your power. The truth is every tear became the mortar that built your foundation. The real miracle isn't what you built. It's that you're still standing. You didn't just endure the storm. You became it. Number 5, you got in because you aligned, not BGG'd. Approval is rented. Alignment is owned. You once bent yourself out of shape just to be accepted. You shrank your voice so others could feel comfortable. You begged for seats at tables you were meant to replace. But one day, you woke up tired of apologizing for your existence. You stopped auditioning for belonging. You stopped asking for permission to be who you were born to be. And that's when everything changed. The moment you stopped chasing approval, the right doors began opening on their own. Not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped knocking on the wrong ones. Now you move differently. You walk into rooms they swore were locked. You command respect you never demanded. You glow without trying, because alignment shines louder than applause. They can't comprehend it. They're still trading integrity for invitations, still begging for validation you no longer need. What they call arrogance is just you walking in authority. What they call luck is simply alignment doing its job. When you stopped chasing, you started attracting. When you stopped performing, you started manifesting. They can't stand it because they still think favor comes from being liked. But you learned it comes from being rightly placed. They thought power was about being louder, richer, more connected. They never realized true power is surviving what was designed to destroy you. They came at you from every angle. Whispers disguised as truth. Rejection dressed like guidance. Opportunities rigged to break you. You were supposed to vanish. You were supposed to give up, to stay small, to fade into the background. But instead, you became their greatest contradiction. Unbreakable. Imagine someone throwing stones at you every day, convinced they're hurting you. And years later, they realize you built a fortress from the same stones they meant for your grave. That's you. Every rumor, every betrayal, every insult became brick and mortar for your empire. They thought your silence was weakness, but it was training. They thought your absence was defeat, but it was metamorphosis. And now your glow, it's their haunting. They don't hate your success, they hate that it bloomed after they tried to bury you. Because what truly burns them isn't your wins. It's your survival. You outlived their sabotage. You outlasted their manipulation. You thrived beyond their reach. They smiled while stabbing, gossiped while hugging, plotted while praying for you. And yet here you stand, a living contradiction of their intentions. Resilience became your crown, and endurance your empire. Ask yourself, why are they restless now? Because endurance was never part of their formula. They thought cruelty would crush you. But they forgot pressure creates diamonds. You weren't fueled by ego, you were fueled by assignment. And when purpose ignites, no amount of poison can extinguish it. While they mocked, you evolved. While they planned your fall, you planned your freedom. They blocked doors, life taught you to walk through walls. You didn't outshine them, you outlasted them. And that's the difference between noise and legacy. In their world, control is power. In yours, peace is power. And peace, my friend, terrifies the wicked. You became unpredictable, their worst nightmare. Because the most dangerous soul in any room is the one who can't be manipulated. They pushed buttons and you didn't flinch. They ghosted and you didn't chase. They lied and you didn't explain. You detached from their illusion and suddenly their whole system collapsed. They run on triggers, you run on truth. They play chess, you flipped the board and left the game. They crave attention, you mastered invisibility. You don't react, you respond. You don't beg, you become. That's why they whisper. They can't predict what they can't control. Your calm is their confusion. Your silence is their mirror. Because your stillness forces them to face themselves. They built their power on predictability. But you're no longer part of their algorithm. You're the glitch that proved the matrix was fake. Withdraw affection, you stay kind. Spread lies, you stay grounded. Withhold apology, you stay free. You're no longer powered by reaction, you're powered by purpose. That's why you became untouchable. Because healed souls are unreadable to those still bleeding. And then came your greatest rebellion. You cut loose what was killing you. You walked away not just from people, but from patterns. Not everything with your bloodline deserves a seat in your destiny. You didn't just win, you escaped. You broke free from invisible prisons. Traditions disguised as loyalty. Rules designed to keep you small. Cycles disguised as that's just how we are. You chose growth over comfort. Peace over guilt. Freedom over family approval. You were the first in generations to say, "This curse ends with me." And that choice was revolutionary. You carried blame that wasn't yours. You endured guilt trips that weren't fair. You walked away not out of hate, but out of self-preservation. Most people stay in the cage because it feels familiar. You walked into the unknown, and that's what makes you dangerous. You lost some people, but you found yourself. You gained something rarer than applause, clarity. They called you heartless for having boundaries. They called you selfish for having peace. But now they secretly envy the calm you built. Because you stopped bleeding for people who refused to heal. And when they couldn't destroy you, they tried to rewrite your story. You became the villain in their narrative. You stopped explaining, you stopped pleading. You realized that when someone's mind is made up, your truth becomes irrelevant to their comfort. So you let them talk. You let them twist the script. And then you walked out of the courtroom and built a kingdom. They mistook your silence for guilt. They mistook your distance for arrogance. But it was never that. It was wisdom. You understood explanation is a form of begging. And you had nothing left to beg for. So while they shouted, you built. While they gossiped, you healed. While they buried your name, you planted your purpose. And now the seeds have grown into something they can't uproot. Their rumor faded, your rise didn't. They expected your breakdown, you gave them breakthrough. They planned your ending, you wrote a sequel. Because sometimes the villain in their story is just the hero who stopped participating in their delusion. And the final evolution. You learned to begin again. You mastered the art of resurrection. Endings didn't break you, they introduced you to new beginnings. You didn't cling, you released. You didn't mourn forever, you rebuilt. Each collapse became a classroom. Each goodbye became a rebirth. Most people fear starting over because they think it means failure. But you turned it into a strategy. You learned that letting go isn't loss, it's liberation. Every time you were stripped down, you came back lighter, clearer, stronger. And every time they said, it's over, you said, it's only beginning. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because the soul that embraces endings can never truly die, only transform. So let them copy, let them study, let them mimic your steps. They'll never replicate your fire. Because fire isn't learned, it's lived. You were refined in silence. You were tested in darkness. You were forged through betrayal. Your glow isn't a filter, it's a scar that learned to shine. They can steal your words, but not your weight. They can mirror your moves, but not your making. They can imitate your light, but not your source. Because what fuels you can't be copied. It's born from storms they never survived. You're not just successful, you're sacred. Not just rising, but chosen. Not just living, but leading. And that's what terrifies them most. Because no matter how they twist, talk, or try, you already won. Your silence is louder than their noise. Your peace is stronger than their plans. Your rise is their reminder that purpose always prevails. So don't just celebrate. Share this. Drop 77 in the comments to declare it. Because every chosen one who's been quiet, misunderstood, and underestimated. It's your season now. The storm failed. The silence built you. And the rise has only just begun. They thought it was over. That the silence meant the story had closed. But silence was never your ending, it was your incubation. Because the quiet ones, the steady ones, the ones who disappeared to rebuild, they're all returning now. And when they do, the world won't recognize them. You see, the storm didn't destroy you. It refined you. The fire didn't consume you. It purified your purpose. The delay didn't deny you. It aligned you. Every moment you felt forgotten, you were being repositioned. Hidden not as punishment, but as protection. The same darkness they thought buried you became your soil. And now something divine is sprouting. Not just success, not just revenge, but destiny fully awakened. Because the ones who learn to move in silence are the ones heaven trusts with the loudest impact. You are not coming back to prove a point. You are coming back to fulfill prophecy. There's a strange calm in your spirit now. It's not pride, it's awareness. You've seen too much to be shaken by noise. You've endured too much to be bothered by whispers. You've learned the difference between peace and people-pleasing. And that lesson, that sacred wisdom, is your weapon now. You no longer crave their apology. You no longer chase their recognition. You no longer need to be understood. Because purpose doesn't need validation. It only needs motion. And now you're moving differently. Not with desperation, but with direction. Not with haste, but with holy timing. They can't trace you anymore. You're not on their radar. Because you no longer move on emotion, you move on instruction. Remember this. Heaven's timing often looks like earthly delay. But delay is only delay to those who measure by moments, not by purpose. While they were counting minutes, heaven was counting maturity. You weren't late, you were being built. Built to carry what others fumbled. Built to sustain what others only sampled. That's why it took time. That's why isolation felt eternal. You weren't waiting, you were being prepared. And now the preparation has reached completion. The divine says, step forward. You'll feel it first, that shift inside your spirit. The quiet confidence. The peace before the unveiling. Doors that once stayed closed will swing open with no effort. Conversations that were withheld will suddenly find you. Rooms that rejected you will now request your presence. Not because you begged, but because divine timing finally said, now. The world will think it's sudden, but you'll know it's sacred. They'll say it happened overnight, but you'll remember every night it didn't. Because this isn't luck. This is fulfillment. And when your light shines this time, it will not flicker. Because you learned how to protect it. You learned that not everyone who claps is for you. You learned that privacy is power. And peace is a form of protection. So now you move differently. Softly but strategically. Calmly but purposefully. You are no longer chasing opportunities, you attract them. Your energy has changed because your frequency has elevated. You no longer vibrate on desperation. You vibrate on destiny. And everything aligned with your calling is now being magnetized to you. The same ones who called you too quiet, too different, too distant, will soon call you legend. Not because you sought fame, but because obedience always produces recognition. You are not rising to be seen. You are rising to be sent. Your presence will bring peace where chaos once lived. Your words will heal rooms your wounds once cried in. Your resilience will become a roadmap for those still stuck in the dark. That's why you had to go through all of it. Because now you carry what others can't teach. You are not just chosen. You are equipped. Every scar became a scroll. Every tear became training. Every delay became design. And still, this isn't the end. This is the unfolding. Because the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. And the quieter it gets, the clearer the instructions become. You'll feel heaven speak in whispers. not to your ears, but to your intuition. You'll know when to move. You'll know when to pause. You'll know who to trust. Because you've learned the sacred rhythm of alignment. Your steps are not random anymore. They're rhythmic, ordered, orchestrated. And this is where many can't follow. Because while they chase visibility, you chase vision. While they crave applause, you crave authenticity. While they fight for platforms, you fight for purpose. So, chosen one, let them talk. Let them stare. Let them copy your glow. Because imitation can never outshine origination. They can mirror your movement, but they can't duplicate your anointing. You are not trending, you are timeless. You are not performing, you are becoming. You are not lucky, you are aligned. And no matter how loud the world gets, you will remain the calm in the center of the storm. Because you are not powered by chaos anymore. You are powered by clarity. So when they ask how you made it, you'll simply smile and say, I stopped waiting for permission. Because destiny doesn't knock, it's already within you. And your silence wasn't your end. It was your seed. Now watch what grows. They thought your silence meant surrender. But silence was never your weakness, it was your training ground. You weren't quiet because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because you were listening to something greater than the noise. And now, the voice that once whispered inside of you is roaring. This is not the same version of you they remember. This is the upgraded spirit. The one who walked through darkness and came out glowing. The one who lost everything temporary and found everything eternal. The one who finally realized that power is not loud, it's steady. They never understood your process. They only saw your pause. But pause is not paralysis, it's preparation. The caterpillar isn't dead in the cocoon, it's transforming. And now, the wings you grew in secret are ready to unfold in public. You don't even have to announce your return. Your energy already did. Your presence now carries weight, not from ego, but from evolution. People can sense it, rooms feel it. Even silence recognizes it. Because when you've walked through your own fire, you stop flinching at the smoke of others. When you've battled your own shadows, you stop fearing the dark corners of life. You have become dangerous, not to others, but to the lies that once controlled you. The lie that said you weren't enough. The lie that said you missed your chance. The lie that said it's too late. Those lies no longer live here. You burned them all down. And from the ashes, something unshakable has risen. Now you move with grace, not rush. With focus, not fear. With purpose, not pride. Your power doesn't scream anymore. It speaks through your peace. And that peace is what terrifies them the most. Because in a world addicted to attention, you've learned the art of detachment. You've learned to walk away without explanation. To win without noise. To glow without approval. And the moment you stopped seeking validation, the universe started validating you through alignment. Doors opened. Paths cleared. The right people appeared, not because you chased them, but because your frequency finally matched your destiny. Remember this. Every trial that tried to destroy you was actually a transfer. A divine exchange. Pain for power. Loss for wisdom. Delay for design. You were never behind, you were being refined. You were never forgotten, you were being fortified. Every breakdown was a blueprint. Every tear was a teaching. That's why your power feels different now. It's not about control, It's about clarity. You finally know who you are. And that kind of knowing cannot be unlearned. Now you understand that not everyone can go where you're going. Elevation requires separation. And that's why some doors closed when you started rising. Not because you were unworthy, but because they were unprepared. You carry a frequency they can't function in. You speak a language they were never meant to understand. You operate in peace, they survive on chaos. You build in silence, they gossip in noise. Let them. Let them talk, doubt, and misread you. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be unstoppable. Because what you're building now is beyond explanation. It's not personal, it's prophetic. The kind of destiny that doesn't make sense until it's complete. You'll notice the shift. How suddenly things that used to drain you no longer affect you. How your energy feels sacred. How your boundaries have become blessings. How your vision has sharpened beyond human understanding. That's because you're walking in divine clarity. You're not chasing opportunity anymore. Opportunity is chasing you. You're not begging for light, you've become the source of it. And wherever you go, alignment follows. People will call it luck. They'll call it timing. But you'll know the truth, it's obedience. You followed the whisper long enough for it to become a roar. This next chapter is not about proving who you are. It's about embodying who you've always been. No more shrinking to fit small rooms. No more explaining your vision to blind minds. No more apologizing for existing loudly in your purpose. You've earned this season. Not through shortcuts, but through survival. Through nights you didn't post about. Through pain you never broadcasted. Through prayers nobody heard but heaven. And now the same God who saw your tears is about to make others witness your rise. Not as revenge, but as revelation. Because your story isn't just about you anymore. It's about everyone watching, waiting for proof that faith still works. You are the evidence that grace still finds the broken. That light still lives in scars. That silence can still shake nations. So walk into this next season boldly. Not because you know every step, but because you trust the one guiding them. The path may curve. The journey may stretch. But destiny will not delay. You've crossed the line between potential and purpose. And from this point forward, nothing remains the same. The power has awakened. The silence has spoken. And the chosen one has returned, unstoppable, untouchable, undeniable. This isn't the end. This is the unfolding of a legacy. You've been in the shadows long enough. The silent warrior, the quiet storm. But now the world is about to feel your presence in a way they never expected. This isn't about you anymore. This is about the seeds you've been planting, not just for your own growth, but for the generations yet to come. Your rise isn't just for the applause of today, it's the legacy you'll leave for tomorrow. And here's the truth. Legacy isn't built by what you do for yourself. It's what you do for others when you've found the power to stand tall. They may have laughed at you when you were struggling to find your feet. They may have whispered when you stayed in your quiet corner, working behind closed doors. But now that the work is done and the foundation is solid, they're not just seeing you rise. They're watching the ripple of your influence spreading like wildfire, touching lives they never even imagined. This is your moment to redefine what it means to lead. Leadership is not about control. It's about influence. It's not about being the loudest in the room, but about being the most intentional, the most aligned, the most present. You've learned that power isn't found in the applause of the crowd. It's found in the quiet trust of your purpose. And that's what makes you dangerous. Not because you demand respect, but because you command it through your consistency, your resilience, your authenticity. Every decision you make now has a ripple effect. Every step forward pulls someone else forward with you. Every success isn't just for your growth. It's for their breakthrough. Every time you shine, you make the world a little brighter for those around you. This isn't just your victory. It's the world's awakening. Because what you've become, they can't deny. Your life is no longer just a testimony. It's a movement. You're not a trend. You're a shift in the collective energy. A force of nature that can't be ignored, can't be dismissed. And now the ripple effect has turned into a wave. And that wave is pulling in those who need to hear your message. See your example. Feel the power you carry. They will follow you not because they have to, but because you will show them a new way of walking, a new way of being, a new way of thinking. They will follow you because they feel the truth in your heart. And truth is magnetic. Imagine a single seed sprouting into a tree. Not just a tree, but a forest. Not just a forest, but an ecosystem. And with each person you touch, you're planting another seed of greatness, another seed of purpose, another seed of unshakable belief. You are becoming a force that creates, not destroys. You are building an army, not of followers, but of leaders. People who, like you, will rise, will awaken, will break free from the chains of their past, and step into the power they were born with. You are the living proof that breaking the cycle doesn't take time. It takes commitment. It takes courage. It takes the audacity to believe that you are not just a product of your circumstances, but the creator of your future. So as you rise, know this. You're not just leading your own life anymore. You're leading a revolution. One that's spreading across communities, across continents, across souls. The future is being written now, and you are the pen. You are the ink. You are the story. You won't be remembered for the things you gained, but for what you gave away. You won't be remembered for the battles you fought, but for the lives you transformed along the way. Your legacy is not just in the words you speak, but in the actions you take, in the way you lead by example, in the way you elevate others, in the way you change the narrative, in the way you create space for others to thrive. The world is waiting for this moment, and it's arriving right now. Through you. No one ever thought you'd get here. They watched you struggle. They watched you fail. They watched you doubt. But what they didn't see was your quiet persistence. What they didn't see was the battles you fought alone. The nights you spent wondering if you'd ever make it. The days you wondered if it was worth it. But you kept going. You kept rising. You kept fighting. And now the world can see the result of that fight. Not just in your success, but in the way your success brings others up. The way your rise pulls them out of their darkness. The way your story gives them permission to rise too. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a teacher. You are a builder. You are a legacy in the making. And here's the twist. This is just the beginning. The most powerful part of your journey isn't behind you. It's in front of you. You've just unlocked the first chapter of your story. The rest is yet to be written. Not just for you, but for the ones who will carry your fire when you're gone. So let them watch. Let them doubt. Let them try to figure out how you did it. Because what they don't realize is that it was never about the steps you took. It was about the heart that carried you through them. And that heart will live on forever. The rise of legacy has only just begun. You have awakened, and now it's time to lead the world into the future they never saw coming. A future you're building, step by step, one powerful, intentional move at a time. They thought your journey was just a chapter. They thought your rise was just a moment. But now they're realizing this isn't a story that ends. This is a movement that can't be stopped. You're no longer just moving through life. You're reshaping it. And here's the truth. Movements don't ask for permission. They don't wait for approval. They rise unstoppable. Because the force behind them isn't just a dream. It's purpose. It's destiny. It's a power that can't be contained. A fire that only burns brighter the more you pour fuel on it. The world has been waiting for someone like you. For someone who isn't afraid to step into their power. For someone who refuses to play small. And now you've stepped onto the stage of your life. And the audience is in awe. But they don't realize. You've been rehearsing for this moment your entire life. Every failure, every rejection, every heartbreak. It wasn't to break you. It was to prepare you for this. You've become the embodiment of perseverance. The proof that nothing can stop you once you've made the decision to rise. You're more than just a survivor of your past. You're the architect of your future. And this future, it's not one you're just going to live in. It's one you're going to create. What they didn't understand was this. Your strength wasn't a product of your circumstances. It was forged in your spirit, your soul. You were never bound by the limits of the world. You were always bound by the infinite possibilities of what you could become. So now, as your influence spreads, as your impact expands, the world is beginning to catch up with you. They thought you were a lone wolf. They thought you were an outlier. But now they see. You're the spark that's lighting a global fire. A fire that can't be extinguished. Your influence is no longer just local. It's universal. It's a force that transcends borders, languages, and cultures. It's not just about what you've built. It's about what you've awakened in others. People who once doubted you are now looking to you for direction. People who once rejected you are now seeking your guidance. They're no longer asking, "How did you do it?" They're asking, "How can we join you?" And that chosen one is where your true power lies. You're not just building an empire. You're leading a revolution. One that will echo through the generations. Your story is no longer just your own. It's a collective anthem. It's the soundtrack of people everywhere who are beginning to realize that the limitations they've placed on themselves are nothing but illusions. And now they see you. They see you standing tall, not just for yourself, but for the thousands, the millions, who will follow in your footsteps. You are the living example that anything is possible, that nothing is too big, no dream is too audacious, no goal is too far out of reach. Your legacy is living proof that you can bend the universe to align with your purpose. But with this power comes responsibility. You didn't rise to just take up space. You rose to change the world. And now that you have this influence, it's time to use it for something bigger than yourself. You're the guide for those who are still lost in the dark. You're the light for those who are searching for their way. You're the mentor for those who are ready to rise, but just need someone to show them the path. And the beauty is, the more you pour into others, the more you receive in return. Your abundance is not just measured in material wealth. It's measured in the lives you've transformed, the hearts you've healed, the minds you've expanded. There's an energy shift happening. You've felt it. That moment when you realize that what you're about to step into isn't just a continuation of your journey, it's an evolution of it. You thought you were on your way to success, but now you see you're meant to lead a movement, a wave of transformation that will ripple through generations. And this isn't a battle for power. It's a reclamation of your divine purpose. They see your success, and they want to know your secret. They want to know how you keep rising, how you keep shining. But the truth is simple. There's no secret. There's no formula. There's only the undeniable reality that you are aligned with your highest purpose, and when you live in that alignment, nothing can stop you. The challenge ahead isn't going to be external. It's not going to be the obstacles or the haters, because you've already faced them and overcome. The real challenge now is internal. It's about making the decision to step into this next version of yourself, the one that doesn't shrink in the face of uncertainty, but stands boldly and claims what's theirs. You'll face doubts, not from the outside world, but from deep within. The voices that question, are you truly ready for this? Can you handle the weight of this responsibility? But here's the truth. Yes, you are, because you didn't rise just for yourself. You didn't endure just for your own sake. You've been preparing for this moment your whole life, preparing to step into a role far greater than you imagined. It's time to let go of the old limitations, to trust that the universe has already aligned everything you need to move forward. Look around you, the world is changing, people are waking up. They're starting to realize that everything they've been taught about success, about happiness, about worth, it's been distorted. They're realizing that the world's systems were built to keep them small, to keep them chasing after illusions. And then they see you not just succeeding, but thriving, not just surviving, but flourishing. You've become a beacon of truth in a world that desperately needs it, but it doesn't stop there. The more you grow, the more you have to offer. Your light isn't just for you anymore, it's for everyone who's been searching for it. You're no longer just a person on a path. You are the path. You are the bridge between where people are and where they can go. So as you move into this next phase of your journey, understand that this isn't about just building a name. This is about building a legacy. It's about leaving something behind that will outlive you, not in the form of money or material things, but in the way you've transformed lives. The seeds you plant today will sprout tomorrow, and they will grow into a forest of opportunity for others. The foundation you lay now will hold up generations to come. The best part, you're not doing it alone. The people who have been drawn to your energy, the ones who have been watching from the sidelines, they're going to join you. You're not just inspiring them, you're leading them. You've become the leader you always needed. The one who understands what it means to rise, to fall, to stumble, to get back up again, and keep moving forward. But there will be moments when it feels like the weight of it all is too much. There will be moments when the world asks too much of you, when it feels like there's no space left for you to just be. It's in those moments when you'll have to remind yourself of why you started this journey in the first place. The people you're meant to serve, the change you're meant to create, the lives you're meant to touch. Those moments won't break you, they'll only refine you further. Because every time you step up, every time you rise from the ashes, you become more than you were before. You become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Now here's the paradox you'll have to face. The more you achieve, the more you rise, the more the world will try to pull you back. They'll try to pigeonhole you, put you in boxes they can understand. They'll try to convince you to stay small. But you've already broken free of those limitations. You've already outgrown the game they were playing. Your success was never about conforming. It was about creating something new, a new path, a new vision. And as you walk down that path, others will follow, and those who once tried to stop you will be left standing behind, wondering how they missed the train. But the truth is simple. You weren't just playing the game, you were changing it. And now, as you stand on the cusp of something even greater, remember this: you didn't make it this far by accident. Every step, every setback, every triumph has led you to this moment. The horizon that once seemed distant is now within reach. The only thing left to do is keep walking toward it.